Hello everybody, Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back with another home decor project because literally that is like my favorite Halloween craft to do. So this time I'm using Midnight Ride again, and I have gotten this little metal cauldron tray from Target, and I've done something really cool. I have put lights in the tray behind the paper. I have them poking through so that there's some little amber acrylic dots on top of that, so that you've got just a very fun, different home decor piece. So, let me hold this up a little bit closer here. So we've got little amber dots over the lights, but I'm going to go through the process to do this because, of course, I bought the little tray probably a month ago with doing a project with it in mind, and just have not had time until this week to get it done. So we'll go through the process of how excuse me, how to do the lights and a little bit of the decoration and whatnot, and there we go. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to start with this little cauldron tray, I guess it is, that I found at Target for $5. I don't know if they still have these. You might want to check your Target. It was in that area like up at the front that used to be the dollar spot, and I don't know what they're calling it now, but everything's either like $1, $3, or $5. What we're going to do is we are going to trace just onto a piece of cardstock, and this is just some American Crafts that I've had in my stash. I've got a ton of American Crafts cardstock from back when I used to do lots and lots of the 3D projects, because apparently I have something on my hands that I didn't know I had on my hands. God, I wonder what is on my hands. Anyway, back when I used to do lots of 3D projects, before I started doing minis, before I discovered Country Craft Creations, really, I used to use primarily their cardstock for most of my projects. So, and I've made a couple of, actually I made one album with it, and it was just not very good. Okay, so kind of have a rough shape here, and if I can figure out where my scissors went, I literally had them this morning when I brought all of this other stuff back. Oh my god, seriously. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I was on a conference call, and sometimes I do better as far as paying attention if I'm doing something with my hands. So I had just finishing off some little tiny cards today. Okay, so we're just going to cut out what we traced. And the reason I'm going through this part of the process with you is because if you found something else you wanted to try this with, you know, of course, I don't know that most of you are going to be able to find that little cauldron because it's been a couple weeks at least. Okay, and so where this kind of went out, I'm actually just going to go straight up because that is not part of the interior of this little cauldron. But we just need this for a pattern to then trace onto some lightweight chipboard for what we're trying to do. Okay, so there's kind of a rough. Okay. Which really, we did pretty good. We'll take some off of the top. And it doesn't have to be exact. We're going to put other, you know, we're going to fussy cut, and we're going to put some other things in here with this. So if it's not exact, it's going to be fine. it's not going to be like super noticeable. Okay. Take just a tiny bit off on that side. Because this would be the process that you would go through with pretty much anything like this that you're trying to either put something in or alter or build something in is going to be very similar to this. So let me grab a piece of lightweight chipboard, I guess. Yes. All right, so lightweight chipboard. So I'm going to use the straight edge of the bottom of the chipboard for the straight edge on the bottom of the cauldron. And I'm going to trace this onto the chipboard. And again, where this is going to be hand cut, it's not going to be exact. And that's fine. Okay. Hang on to that in case we want it for anything else as far as pattern paper, anything like that. And I mean, if you wanted to, you probably could have traced the cauldron directly onto the lightweight chipboard, but I would much rather sacrifice, especially if I'd gotten it really off, a piece of crappy cardstock that I let my son use for projects over wasting a sheet of my lightweight chipboard. And on this side, okay. Just double check this again. And we're slightly off. Where are we off? We are off on this other side. So let me test something out here. Because this side fits perfectly. Let's see if this side. Because I had one side that was slightly different, and I think that's what I did wrong. Okay. Okay. And this is where doing these kinds of projects can be just a little bit frustrating because it's not easy to get it exact. You do have to kind of keep trimming and fixing and whatnot until it fits in here the way you want. Do just a tiny bit more off of this side. All right. All right, so that's good there. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some ink and I'm going to ink around the edges of this because we're not going to be able to wrap this completely. So I am just going to ink the edges here. This way, if we have any area that ends up not being completely covered by cardstock or something, at least it's not going to be noticeable. Okay, I am going to do both sides just to ensure that I got those edges enough. Okay, that will be good. Right, let me move that. Grab a paper towel really quickly. All right. So this will end up going in like so. Okay. Before we do that, let's go ahead and pick out which paper we are going to put as the background on this. So I could use the back of one of the cut-aparts or the tags or whatever. And I don't think I want to do that. So let's see here. No, because I think I'm going to cut that moon out off of this one. I know I'm going to fussy cut something off of this one. So I'm going to set these two aside so that I don't do something dumb and use them where I don't want to. Going back to that or that, but I think we're going to go with that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this on here. And where's my glue? There it is. Okay. So we're going to glue this on here. I'm kind of trying to see where I can line it up where maybe I can use do it right there, because then I can at least get both of those maybe to fussy cut, or at least, very least her. And that little tiny bit at the back of her broom that is not, it's going to get cut off, we'll just put something over it. Just make sure I didn't turn this the wrong way. We're good. All right. Okay. So I'm going to this all the way to the top, all the way to one side. Then I'm actually going to take my little smusher guy that I typically would use with stamps with my Misty. And I'm going to use that to really burnish that down and make sure that sticks to that cardstock really well. Okay. And then we're just going to cut around this. Okay. All right. So then we've got that. We're going to go around it with the ink one more time. Just because, of course, now we've got those cut edges of the paper. So I am going to just which it's not super noticeable. I probably could have gotten away with not doing that. It would have been fine. Okay, so now we've got our background. Now we need to make a decision because we're going to use the LED lights from Country Craft Creations. Okay. Do we want to do these in such a way that they're just kind of around the outside edge so that there's kind of a glow coming from behind? Kind of like that. You can kind of see. Or do we want to do some little tiny holes that we're not really going to pop these through necessarily, because really I don't know. I think my normal hole punch is going to be too big to try to do that with. But I don't think it'll work like I would like. But again, this is why we keep garbage cardstock around to test things. Okay, so if we did that, and then we have a hole. So really, I could punch holes in various random places around here and have the lights come through the holes. Really, I could have 2 lights come through each hole. Like that. That would actually be kind of cool. And on one of these little strings, these things are about, honestly, they're close to 3 feet. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 lights on here, so we would have 10 little holes where this is going to pop through. Another thing that we could maybe do, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, because this might actually be kind of cool. So I've got the little clear kind of dewdrops, maybe? I'm not actually sure what they're called. That we could do this where those lights sit behind the holes, but we can put these over the top and kind of give it a different look. So I've got clear ones that we could do that with. I have got amber. I don't think the blue would not look right. Acrylic crystal drops. This one just doesn't have a label on it. Oh, see, because we could do it like that. And I know it's really hard to see on camera, but it actually looks really cool with that amber one on there. I think that's exactly how we're going to do this. Okay. So, and I don't think the red, yeah, the red doesn't really go. Okay, I'm going to turn these off for a second. And I'm going to come in here with this pair of, and I'm going to pop a hole there. I'm going to pop one there. And I'm going to have to get something about almost, there we go. I think I want it. Okay. Can't quite reach this. I'm going to have to find my big crocodile to get those three. And that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'll just do 2 random ones. Probably one up over this way. And get those. And then what we'll end up doing, I'll just show you because I'll probably speed this up for this part, honestly. So what I'll do, let me turn this on so you can see. So see, here's 2 of the lights together right here. Okay. Okay, there's 2 lights. What I'll do, because they're on this nice wire that bends just beautifully, is I'll bend those 2 together and attach them to the back of this like so. Okay, and then I'll just work my way around. Actually, I may not even do 2. I think I'm just going to do 1. And then the extra ones I'll just position so that they're along like these outside edges here. Okay, so 1 there, we'll go out to the edge there. And so on and so forth. So like that, so on and so forth. So let me find my other hole punch, my bigger hole, or the big crocodile, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I figured I'd let you watch me burn the crap out of myself with the glue gun, because, you know, this is what happens. So I'm going to start down on one of the bottom corners, doesn't really matter which one, just so that your little control piece is coming at the bottom. So all I'm going to do is just put a little bit of hot glue right there. I'm going to line that up over the hole, not through the hole, just over the hole. Okay. I'm going to put another little drop here, just so that the wires have somewhere to stick to. And then we'll get this next one lined up there. And do some there and some there. And I'm not getting super carried away with this because we don't need a ton. As it is, we're going to come onto the back of this here in a little bit anyway, and we're going to add either some chipboard strips or some foam tape or a combination of the 2. Really, you could do it either way to give this some dimension. So this will stand up just a little bit off of the base of the cauldron, simply so that we've got, what's the word I'm looking for here? just to give it a little bit of dimension so it's not sitting so far back in there. And 2, that will help us kind of, that's the word I'm looking for here. And where these are wire, this makes, it's actually really easy to get these lined up exactly where you want them. Ignore my glue strings. I've never been good with the glue gun. Okay. We'll go to this next one. Like I said, I'm not using a ton of glue here, just enough to grab that little wire and hold these in place. Okay. Sorry, the glue strings are bad tonight. All right. I have a plan on how to use these lights in a mini album. And I'm gonna try, fingers crossed, to get to this weekend. But we all know how that goes. Every time I say that, it's like that's the opposite of what happens. Okay. So I am gonna come around so that and then come up across the top like so. And that'll be that with the glue gun for now. May need it again here in a bit. I'm not honestly sure yet. In case you haven't figured it out, I don't have like a super formalized plan in my head for this. So a lot of this is honestly just kind of my creative process at this point. And, you know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. In the event this doesn't work out, none of you will ever see this. Okay. So we've got that tacked down. I am not going to actually, I do still need the glue gun for just another minute or two, because that is how I think I'm going to put the little amber dots on top of the holes. So I suppose I could probably do this with like glossy accents, because hopefully, nope, so far so good. Okay. I just had this thought that hopefully the hot glue does not melt the lights themselves. But I think we're okay. So the way I'm doing this, let me actually zoom in a little bit on one of these so you guys can see. Okay. All right, so what I'm doing is, rather than putting the glue directly in the hole, I'm putting it just to the side here. And I'm doing just a little dot. And then I'm taking that little crystal drop and pushing the glue to the hole with the drop so that it gets on the little acrylic drop piece and then goes in over the, or goes over the hole. And I realize it's really hard to see the effect with this, with these little drops on here with the camera, and I apologize. I'm not sure how to get around that exactly. Okay, so that over there, and then just kind of pushing it over on top of the hole. Do this one over here now. Oh, crying out loud. Should have gone shorter on my nails this time, and I didn't. That was entirely on me. I should have gone a little bit shorter, but I didn't. That's okay. All right, so we'll get these over here. This one over here. See if I can get this done before everybody. Everybody, I mean my husband is home and wanting dinner. My son's out playing with friends, so he's not going to notice just yet. Okay, 2 more. Oh my god, now they're sticking to my hands. Okay, that one didn't get down. We're going to have to fix that one. Okay, seriously, like what did I do? Oh my god. Don't be like me. Don't drop the thing in the glue in the wrong place and then try to pick it back up, because that does not work, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Try again. There we go. Oh, that was even out of camera, so there we go. All right. Last one. I'm gonna use that one. That one's got like 4 of them that got glue on them. That's okay. I've got a whole jar full. We'll be fine. Okay. So again. And down we go. Okay, so now we're going to turn the glue gun off for a minute. And I will zoom back out. So then let's see. Aha! See how they're much more muted than they were? And honestly, like in person, this thing looks really, really cool with those little, you know, with the, I lost more than one of them apparently. With the lights coming up through those little acrylic drops. So, all right, so let me grab, turn this off. Oh, turn it back on. All right, so I'm gonna grab, I don't think I want to do chipboard. I think I do want to use foam tape. Just because I don't want to sit and wrestle with the chipboard pieces. So I am going to do let's do, I'm not sure if that's going to sit up as much as I would like. Alright, I'm going to do 3 layers of foam tape. And I think that will be enough. And I'm just going to do it kind of, not randomly, but like it doesn't have to be everywhere. because this isn't an album. This isn't something that's going to get handled and that kind of thing. So you don't need to, you know, be like have really super good coverage. We just need it kind of in between all of our lights and things here. And really, this is something you could do this with the fall paper. You could the Christmas paper to do something like this. Find some sort of little Christmas tray of some kind, and you know, do something like this with the Christmas paper would be absolutely adorable. I have one of the Christmas papers. I did not get the one that had like, I think it's Sugar Plum Fairy. I didn't get that one. I have the other one. All right. So that's going to sit in there like so. This piece we're going to leave just kind of dangling out the side here, because what we'll end up doing is attaching this somehow so that it's like accessible without having to like reach in or pull it out from behind somewhere or whatever. We'll come up with something. We'll probably end up taking a Sharpie to this and just, you know, covering that up. But for now, let's get the backing off of a foam tape. We can go ahead and put this in. All right. And once it's in and it's on, that looks really cool. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to turn that back off. In fact, really, I can run this up along the side here and just kind of push it down in there and get our little switch kind of up on the side here, which would be even better. So let me do that. There we go. So all I'm doing is just kind of poking this wire down in here. Okay, where's my... That's what I want. Before I get too much further with that, I am going to take my black Sharpie and I'm going to just kind of color on top of our little battery pack piece here. That way it's not going to be like super noticeable. And it's not going to be perfect by any means, but again, it's handmade, so it's okay. All right. So this will end up going kind of up over to the side here. So let me get some of my other pieces and parts gathered up and finish tucking that wire down in there, and I will be back. Okay, so I have gotten out my mini easy press and a piece of parchment in the mat. So I've got some of the art glitter fantasy fiber in, I believe it's moonstone. I'm not sure. And you can iron this stuff. I have literally never done this before. This is totally new to me, so I'm just going to grab a little bit out of the bag. Maybe. And really, like, once you kind of fluff it out, it really goes a long way. Like, the little bags really make quite a bit of stuff. So I'm just kind of getting this into kind of a circle shape and putting it on the parchment, or between the parchment. So I'm folding the parchment over the top of that. Kind of messing with it a little bit more so that it doesn't have any like thin spaces or whatever. And I've got my little mini easy press turned on, and I'm just going to go over the fantasy fiber through the parchment. I had my silicone sheet out there over there to the left. I ended up not needing it. And honestly, I was surprised. This like worked so much better than I thought. I never had tried this before. I really wasn't finding much online, and there's really not directions on the package that are, you know, super good as far as how to do this. So I was totally flying blind here. And it ends up coming out really cool. So here we go. And see how that's like totally flat, yet it's still shiny. And then I ended up turning it over and doing it on the other side just in case, because I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, because this, like I said, was totally new to me. And I probably ironed it way more than I needed to. I think once it was fused, like the first couple of minutes, it probably was fine, but having not done this before. So I've got quite a bit of the fantasy fiber, and I've really not used it much. And like I said, this was the first time doing this with it. And so here I'm just going to peel that off of the parchment, not that it was stuck. And it is completely flat. It is completely fused together. It's still shimmery and shiny, which is awesome. Excuse me. So I'm going to bring my cauldron back in and put this down, and you can see the lights through it, which actually gives it a really cool effect there. Turn the lights back on and move that out of the way for a second. And then I added some of the fantasy fiber just kind of loose in the bottom, and all I did is just take my glue gun and just, actually I don't think I've even glued it yet, just to kind of set in the bottom there. And I'm actually trimming the moon that I made out of the fantasy fiber, the one that I ironed. Just trimming it more into a circle shape. I decided I didn't like it with the kind of rough edges. So I am trimming that down. And then I kind of was debating, like, could I maybe just put him behind it somehow? And it ends up much better that way. So just kind of playing with those pieces I cut off to see if I can tuck them further back and just have a few little wispy pieces hanging out. And ultimately I decided that that's not what I wanted to do. So it's just going to go in here somewhere like that. And then I just need to decide which of the two witches I'm going to use here, which they're both cute, but I really like her. Okay, so at this point I have ironed the moon there. I have swapped out, I fussy cut off her little broom from the paper, and I had a couple of these left from, I don't even know how many years I've had these. I literally have a drawer of Halloween embellishments that I don't know where most of them came from. I know I had these originally for my lantern that's upstairs, which I really need to try to take better pictures of this year. So she's on a real broom now. I have added some of the fantasy fiber. So this is the yellow fantasy fiber, which you'll have seen that right before this part of the video. And I ironed that and then cut it in so that it wasn't like, so I didn't, basically I cut off all the little wispy pieces. I held on to them because I might use them somewhere. I might actually tuck them down in here. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then I've just run some hot glue along the bottom here and on like the bottom and then the back there, and tacked that down with it just so it doesn't come out. So now I'm just kind of going through what I have as far as other embellishments, and I've got these little glittery bats that I've had for a while from Michael's. And I'm going to add some of these little guys in here just because I think they're kind of appropriate. My little fussy cut owl, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him, or if I'm going to go with like one of these things. I'm not really sure yet. But I do know I want those two on the moon. So my moon is popped up. I have some clear like foam tape stuff that I got a while back to test it. It's this Ranger, Letterit clear 3D foam. I'm not wild about it. It's really hard to pull off the roll. It kind of like you kind of have to fight with it. I'm not real thrilled with it. It's not at all what I was kind of hoping and expecting it to be. So, but it was what I needed here because you don't see it at all through this because there's a stack of it right here and there's actually a stack of it right there as well. So from that aspect of it, that was actually pretty good. But okay, so I am just going to hot glue these guys in here. Maybe we'll stick with 3 bats for right now. I can always come back and stick a couple more in there if I decide I need to. Okay, so I've got spiders, I've got skulls, I've got bones, I've got another entire drawer full of Tim Holtz stuff that I've had for God knows how many years now at this point. I do have a whole bunch of little jars, little vials. I don't know that I would need those necessarily. And I have, oh, those are more Tim Holtz ones. No, I don't think I want those. No. I may have torn my room apart trying to figure out what I did with this stuff for nothing. That would be about right, wouldn't it? Maybe something like that. Really in there. Okay, so let me grab, see if any of these will work. So again, like I said earlier, this is just kind of the process I go through, especially when I'm doing something completely out of my comfort zone like this. Let's see if we've got any of these we can kind of, because there's a bunch of really tiny ones in here. And there's a couple of bigger ones. Big squares, actually. Okay. So we could do something like that. We could do something like that. That might work. Okay, so rather than make you guys suffer through my process here, I think I will get some more stuff figured out and get together and figure out a way to hide this, probably more of this fantasy fiber, because I quite like how it looks in there, especially because I'm using I use the daffodil for the moon. I've got English ivy with just a tiny bit of the cotton cloud down here, and I think I'm going to do some more up along the top there. Possibly just the cotton cloud. In fact, let's pull some of that out. So this stuff, I think I've used it maybe 2 other times, and I've literally just like pulled some out like this and kind of, you know, fluffed it out or whatever, and kind of gone with it like that. So yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. In fact, honestly, it might be kind of cool all the way around that. I don't know that I need to do a whole lot else, honestly. Okay, because then we can still get in here and get to our switch. So that'll work. And it hides the switch because, you know, I spent a whole bunch of time with a black Sharpie coloring it so that it's not so obvious. Ooh, I am liking that. I think that's exactly what we're going to do. I don't honestly know that it needs much more than that. Truly. I've got my other owl fussy cut. I maybe can stick him in there, and then somewhere I had the other witch. Oh, where'd she go? There she is. So then I've got the other witch that I don't really think I need her this time. So I'm going to hang on to her. I might use her on something else at another point in time. So yeah, I think I'm just going to keep kind of messing with that fiber, and I'll come back when we get ready to work on the top.